y'all haven't heard of the Headstrong Project, I want to give y'all a quick rundown of where I think this is a valuable partnership opportunity, a valuable community opportunity. Headstrong is the main fulfillment partner for mental health for Wounded Warrior. Who's heard of the Wounded Warrior Project? Everybody. So the beauty of the Wounded Warrior Project is that they are a phenomenal marketing organization that does a lot to forward veteran advancement as a whole, but then they mostly outsource a lot of their service offerings. And the Headstrong Project is the main fulfillment partner for mental health and all of the therapy sessions, mental health sessions, different aspects. And that's where I think it's really valuable to know Headstrong because it's something that a lot of people don't know about. So if you go to Wounded Warrior, you end up here anyways, but y'all also serve all across Florida in person and virtual. So there's a heavy piece here. And as a whole, I think Headstrong is like a phenomenal opportunity to expand here. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And she's not nervous at all. We
No.
took like 3 tequila shots earlier. No, I'm kidding. So Kristen is the head of corporate partnerships, and we're going to talk a lot about corporate partnerships tonight. I know we have other nonprofit organizations in the room, but also organizations that always want to partner with corporations and figure out how that connection works really well. But to give her background real quick, because her resume is very impressive. You're from a military family.
Army brat.
Go Army.
Yeah.
Guys, y'all are killing me. We got to rep Army tonight. It's terrible. All right. So from an Army family, prior to being the head of corporate partnership of the Headstrong Project, you were the head of business development for Higher Military.
Correct.
You were the program manager for USO.
The one and only.
You're the fundraising manager for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
Also that.
And this might get some pushback. You were also the business development manager for corporate partners for the Texas Rangers.
I was, yes.
Do we have any Texas Ranger fans in here?
That's my guy. That's my guy.
Which guy was that? Get out.
Oh,
that's so terrible. Nice. I thought we were Tampa Bay Ray fans down here.
Okay, so fun fact. My first job out of college, I was a college athlete and kind of like rode that train for as long as I could. And I worked in baseball, and my first job after college, I worked for the Montgomery Biscuits, which was the AA affiliate for the Tampa Bay Rays at the time. So Biscuits.
Has anybody heard of the Biscuits before?
Joe Madden.
One guy way back there.
I saw him, who was the coach for the Rays at the time. We did Rays on the River Walk. So the Tampa Bay Rays came down and played our minor league team in an exhibition game. That was like one of my first jobs, was to like coordinate all that. So Tampa Bay.
Do we forgive her for the Rangers?
Dude, I'm Nolan Ryan all the way.
Hey, yeah.
So I was with you on Nolan Ryan. Way better pitcher than Tampa Bay's ever had. Probably the best arm, like better arm than anybody, and especially Tom Brady. Like terrible arm. Nobody? Come on, there's an Atlanta joke, y'all. All right, my jokes are falling flat today. Linda, we need more shots, please. More shots. We don't share. Wow, I didn't know there was a bunch of Canadians in the room. We don't celebrate hockey in Atlanta. Do you have hockey in Texas?
We have Dallas Stars. But that's Dallas, and I'm not a Dallas girl.
Yeah, we don't support Dallas at all.
I don't know anything about Dallas.
Perfect. No. So sorry, no lightning in the room. To turn to Headstrong Project.
Sure.
Obviously, you have a great background attached to it. How'd you get started with Headstrong Project? What was the draw to the organization? And then give us just a little bit of background about what the organization actually does day to day.
Okay. So what brought me to the Headstrong Project was our mission. So our mission is providing trauma-free, barrier-free, stigma-free, I say life-saving mental health treatment to veterans, active duty service members, and their families. As Zach read off, I've had a lot of lives, and I've done some pretty cool things in my career, but having the opportunity, I feel like, to fundraise for an organization with a clinical team that is going out there across the country and is meeting these service members, these veterans where they're at, and able to establish rapport with them through our military culturally competent therapists that they feel like they're heard, they're understood, and they're ready to seek treatment, barrier-free, stigma-free, and we're just here to help. So that's what brought me to the organization, the passion for the mission.
And I know I mentioned Wounded Warrior. Who has heard of the Special Forces Foundation, the Navy SEAL Foundation, Wounded Warrior, obviously? There are several other organizations that y'all are the fulfillment partner for this piece. And through these partnerships, y'all actually had over 44,000 free, completely free to the veteran, 44,000 sessions last year alone through these partnerships. Can you talk a little bit about how y'all fulfill this piece for these other organizations, what that impact looks like, and how that has like expanded your service capability?
Sure. So as an organization, like Zach said, we are the service providers for some of these larger, very heavily marketed organizations. What that allows us to do is, I think, quietly and humbly provide trauma-focused mental health treatment to the military community. And year to date, since 2012, when we were founded, we have provided over 250,000 free mental health treatment sessions to the military community, which I think is an incredible number.
I think it's huge, and part of why she's here. Who's going to Soft Week in a couple of weeks? Right? Who's excited to be going to Soft Week in a couple of weeks? Wow. Okay. So there are people excited. I've been to Soft Week a couple times when I was on the industry side. One of the exciting parts of Kristen being here tonight is she's coming back for Soft Week, and it's the first time Headstrong's been at Soft Week.
It is the first time. Oh, I guess we walked the floor last year, but from what I've heard, it's a very overwhelming experience. And so
Lots of head nods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of what the Headstrong Project saw in this opportunity, we launched our in-person mental health treatment services in Florida back in 2022. And just given the active duty presence here in Florida, the number of bases, the number of veterans that stay in Florida after they get out, there's really an opportunity for us to connect with the Tampa community. And that's why they flew me out here from Fort Hood this morning. So, and I'll be back in 3 weeks, really looking to engage with the local community and see where we can make an impact.
And I want to dive into that more in a moment because I think Soft Week is huge. Is this the year they kidnap the mayor again and do the thing? So I remember a couple years ago, they like kidnapped the mayor, flew her in. Is it both? Okay, but they did this whole display and do down the river walk. Okay, so is that this year? Because they do it every other. So they kidnap local politicians and then do this like rescue mission down the river. So there's a whole display. So when it's overwhelming, it might be a little bit overwhelming because they do like full force capabilities. Cool shit.
All right, I'm in.
She said it first. I can be kidnapped. The problem is they want to return me immediately because I would just like start talking to them about, hey guys, what's going on now? Because I'm Army, they'd send me back immediately. Before we talk a little bit about the community part in Tampa and all the aspects, can you talk a little bit more about when a veteran reaches out, what's that process look like? And then maybe throw in some statistics, because I know how many organizations are mental health based in here. So we got two. Part of what we don't do, we focus on mindset and entrepreneurship, mindset in the workforce. So we talk a lot about mindset, but we don't necessarily do mental health. So I know y'all are a little bit different in a provider in that capacity. So I want to make sure we highlight to other organizations. We have several veteran organizations in here. What would it look like as a veteran engages with y'all? And then what are some of the statistics y'all are seeing attached to veterans needing that engagement?
Sure. So I'll kind of work through like the user experience from start to finish. It is as simple as going to our website, theheadstrongproject.org. On the upper right-hand side of our website, there's a big red button that says Connect to Care. That individual would go on, and it's like a 3-field questionnaire of name, address, and where they're located. Connect to Care. So while we are a national organization that provides telehealth in all 50 states, we also, through our private practice clinicians, We have a network of 300 of them with a wait list to be added to, of folks that can see patients in person in 17 states plus Washington, D.C. So individuals can elect either telehealth or in-person services. And that is something they work through with our clinical care coordinator, who reaches out to them within 24 to 48 hours of receiving their intake form. Now, time for butt to seat for that veteran or active duty service member to get in-person or telehealth in front of their clinical therapist is less than 2 weeks. It's 13 days, whereas the wait time for the VA prior to these most recent budget cuts was over 35 days. So it's that expedited, immediate access to care. Unique to us is also the confidentiality that our patients and clients receive. Barrier-free, stigma-free, trauma-focused mental health therapy. We are not limited to PTSD, as we found that that's often kind of a trigger, a buzzword that creates a barrier to individuals seeking treatment, right? We're trying to eliminate any holdups for access to care. So trauma-focused, whether that's trauma that occurred before, during, or after service, we're able to treat them at any point during their journey.
And I think what's really interesting, how many folks in here, especially the guys, we're super guilty of this part. How many have that like stigma attached to therapy, or especially when you're active duty, right? You have that stigma where like, I don't want to go into therapy because I'm going to be blacklisted or non-deployable. In the law enforcement space, when I was in law enforcement, same thing, right? You have to have that fit for duty assessment if you ever wanted to talk to somebody. So it's kind of been shunned upon in the community. And then especially in the spec ops community, it was like, you really don't talk about your shit, right? You just kind of button it up. Then you have the David Goggins of the world that tell you to keep buttoning it up. And then everything kind of has that buildup effect, right? Tell us a little bit about statistics. What veterans, I know we talked about it earlier, veterans are more likely for the suicide. We all know that piece, but what else are y'all seeing in that aspect of like the service that veterans actually need?
Sure. So I guess I can talk about how clinicians treat the trauma and then what they're seeing. So our clinicians go through a interview process with our CEO and Chief Clinical Officer. Our CEO is also a veteran of the Marine Corps. And
Boo.
he's a cool guy.
One Marine over there, right?
He's a cool guy. All including Space Force. We include them too. Okay, so also Guard and reservists. We even take it one step further and don't even, regardless of discharge type. So like truly open the aperture to everybody.
Which, to pause on that, great point, great question. A lot of organizations don't serve that, right? And I know several months back, we highlighted Special Forces Charitable Trust, and they have a mental health capacity, but it's only for the Green Beret community. And if you weren't Special Forces, then you didn't get that service. So what's unique as well is it is that open capacity, and that discharge piece I think is huge, because if the dishonorable discharge side, a lot of times they're already going through those mental health situations. So having that capability to get care, the VA waivers on that, right? And other organizations waiver on what your discharge status was. And I think at times those are the ones that need the help the most, as they're losing the uniform, losing that capability, right?
Certainly. Again, it goes back to our mission statement of eliminating those barriers to care. So regardless of discharge type, regardless of active duty, Guard, or reservist, while they're, activated on Title 10, sometimes they are the most vulnerable as far as like having TRICARE while they're active duty, to navigating their civilian health care in that transitional time. Like, now is not the time to pull back from providing mental health treatment where they're going through that. So just an opportunity for Headstrong to step up and support the entire military community.
So as we've been doing the last few months, I'm going to open this to Q&A in a little bit. So y'all go ahead and prep questions on that. I know we have a lot of organizations in the room and a lot of different companies in the room that are really focused on the veteran community as a whole. I think this is a great plus up. So we're going to find out ways we can play together and collaborate together. But I do want to highlight the corporate partnership side. And how many organizations are people are looking for more corporate partners? Several. I think that's a big piece. I think that's a really a big thing on advancing alliance side. The corporate partnership is not an easy world to delve into, but it's also very impactful, right? When it comes to the major gift giving, when it comes to sustainability, and you're the boss lady attached to all of that, and you have been for several different organizations. Can you just highlight a couple of y'all's corporate partners? And then let's talk a little bit about how you go about biz deving, for lack of a better term, these corporate partnerships.
Sure. So I joined the Headstrong Project to really steward our existing corporate partners and really build up that relationship and showcase the impact of their support. So most notably, we have a generous gift from Boeing, Northrop Grumman, and we are part of USAA Space the Fight Coalition. And it's an opportunity with other nonprofit organizations that are focused on military mental health to join together and build up this coalition of subject matter experts in the field that provide best-in-class treatment to the military community. Opportunities to engage are as simple as building a relationship and elevating each other's brand. You know, we share a lot about the impact of our clinicians, the life-saving work that they do, but candidly, a struggle of ours is they're the silent saviors, you know, like they're the ones behind the scenes providing the life-saving services. And it's frankly my job as a fundraiser to go out there and tell their story. But there's a very fine line in advocating for the work that we do and championing their skills and not exploiting mental health of the military community. So really looking for myself to identify those corporate partners that have a heart for the mission, that understand what we do and are passionate about helping the military community. At the end of the days, veterans or active duty service members are members of your Tampa community, right? They're going to your banks, they're shopping at your grocery stores, they're your neighbors, they're your children's, you know, parents at school. Providing life-saving mental health treatment, you're not just treating the individual, you're also helping the entire community get healthier.
And I think that's a great piece to understand, right? Because I think, and why I love having this conversation is it's something that the community shuns as a whole, right? And it's something we don't give enough of a stage to, enough of a conversation to. And I truly believe, like, if it's something we just sweep under the rug and we don't talk about, then you're never going to have the opportunity to get better. And as veterans, we tend to have that mindset, right? We want to be insular in our own community. We don't want to ask for help. When it comes to the organizational side, how many of y'all, especially in the nonprofit world, love asking for help or asking for money? Nobody, right? And I see CLA over here smiling. I'm going to call you out because he's the CPA fancy money guy in the room, or one of them at the very least. And we had a long conversation about that aspect. And it's like, as a veteran, I don't like asking for help. And I certainly, as a nonprofit side, hate asking for money. So part of it, and I think this is where y'all also shine, is we want to be value forward. So when we partner with an organization, we more focus on workforce optimization. We go into the organization and actually set up a program for the organization to optimize their veteran workforce, where it's more of a service agreement, if you will. And I know y'all structure a lot of things that way as well. Can you talk about how those partnerships, how y'all became value forward for organizations, where it's not just asking them for money, it's also highlighting this is a service we'll provide to the veterans in your organization?
Absolutely. So our corporate partnerships are kind of multifaceted in nature. We are a very lean team, which is why you have me fly in from Fort Hood here today. And we're able to customize, and really that's the role of my job, is to get to know our corporate partners and what matters most for you. Is it marketing? Is it aligning your brand with Headstrong? Is it showcasing to the Tampa community because it is such a military heavy community, right? Your financial, your corporate support of a nonprofit organization that provides mental health treatment to the military. Do we need to come in and offer a veteran-specific mental health webinar to your employees. As you look to recruit and retain veterans within your workforce, it's not necessarily individualizing them out and presenting it like, they need help. It's more of educating the entire workforce of, this is an asset to your workforce. This is how to work together to support your employees. There's also an opportunity to sponsor a veteran. So all of our work is at no cost to our patients, our clients, and that is thanks to the generous corporate partners, individual donors, and grants that we receive through individual foundations. And one of those opportunities is to sponsor a veteran for the cost of $9,000. Each of our therapy sessions are independent clinical providers. We pay them $300. On average, we pay up to the first 30 sessions at no cost to our patients. So for every client, Headstrong is paying that individual therapist $9,000 to treat that veteran. And that's at no cost out of that veteran's pocket.
So, and I think that's a huge piece where, especially when you think about the time to service compared to the VA, right? I think the value add there, who loves the VA? I know Tampa's different. Y'all got a great VA down here. So the shot fired. So the Atlanta VA is terrible. Atlanta VA is frequently rated as like one of the worst in the country. So it's something for Atlanta where Tampa is very different because it's a veteran city, right? Where in Atlanta, we're not considered a veteran city, even though we're the 6th largest veteran populace in the country. Our VA system is just terrible, frankly. So the opportunity for that quick, immediate care, I think, is invaluable. And having clinicians that are set up in a way where you're financially engaged with them, I think gives a different level of care as well. Is that something y'all have seen as feedback from veterans where they get better hands-on care compared to like going to the VA where it might not be in some cities, might not be as strong?
I think really the differentiator for us and our success, so I'll call it our success rate. 98% of patients, clients that come see us for their first therapy session continue their treatment with us. And I mean, personally, I'm in therapy. I think therapy is great for everybody. And it takes a lot to like find that therapist you click with. And especially for a service member or a veteran to establish that rapport after that first meeting and want to come back and continue that treatment, because it's a time commitment, right? I think that speaks to our clinicians. I think that speaks to the interview process that we put them through, that they are truly military culturally competent. And so when that individual is coming to us for treatment, they feel like there's already that baseline rapport established, and they're not having to dumb down their experience. Or I was talking to somebody earlier about acronyms and not having to explain all the acronyms. I think that's why we're so successful, is the clinicians in our network have a passion for what they do. Frankly, I think we treat them incredibly well. We pay them incredibly well, and we don't go through insurance. Everyone's seen the news about VA budget cuts. Doesn't affect Tampa so much, but TRICARE West went through a contractor change, and it, firsthand experience, messed up a ton of referrals, and people just like weren't getting referrals from their PCMs. We're going through, providers that they had previously established rapport with were no longer in network. And it just became this whole headache. So by Headstrong providing direct access to care, you don't have to worry about insurance. You don't have to worry about going to see your PCM first and getting a referral. Also unique to us with the VA, an example would be active duty, right? They're less likely to seek out treatment while they're active duty because of the potential effect on their career. They have access to these mental health records. So when it comes to get out, if they want to file a claim, and that's something that folks have asked me before, is do they have access to those records to show that duration of care and submit. And that's something that we're able to assist with as well.
And I think that's huge. I don't know who else might have had issues getting their military records. That was very unique when I was getting out. But shifting more to Tampa focused, y'all are already providing in-person care here in Florida as a whole. What can the Tampa community, I know you're coming back in a couple weeks for the party or soft week, as some people call it. What are you looking for in Tampa? What are you trying to do to build the rapport with people, the network, the community? What's the overarching goal for Headstrong in this area?
Sure. So since we launched services back in 2022, we are always looking, number one, funding, right? Corporate partnership support. At the end of the day, my role is to fundraise. It's to establish those corporate partnerships that support our larger mission. Number two is also aligning with other veteran service organizations in the area. Our number one referral resource is other veteran service organizations. Second to the clinician referral, and then third being the inpatient referral. So always looking to align with other veteran service organizations that I met with earlier, just today. And again, funding and just really connecting with business leaders in the Tampa community. Like I said, this is my first time in Tampa. I'm excited to come back in 3 weeks. Don't worry, I have the first flight out in the morning, 7 a.m. But really just spreading the word, sharing the Headstrong Project with other business leaders, other community members, whether that's a buddy that's served that needs help. At the end of the day, yes, I'm a fundraiser, but we exist to serve the military community. So let us serve you.
I love that. And who said we're full?
Johnny, my man.
So I thought that was just Atlanta. We've tried to shut down Atlanta to people coming, but Tampa's growing like crazy. I know that's the problem. They stop in Atlanta and they stay. Like, we're going to shut down the Atlanta airport because we're definitely full.
Massive.
So a big piece of what I love about having a national partner coming to Tampa, a lot of us, as we've talked over the 18 months or so we've been hosting down here, a lot of what we've talked about is what are the opportunities outside of Tampa, and trying to bring opportunities outside of Tampa, but that are focused in Tampa and in Florida to grow our networks, grow our capabilities. One thing I love about Headstrong, I mean, y'all are massive and y'all are across the entire country. And there's an opportunity for a lot of us that don't provide mental health services, not only for the service aspect, but when you look at the overarching organization, there's the referral partnerships, there's the corporate partnerships, there's other pieces where, no different than if we take Headstrong and feed them into our organizations, there's a reciprocal piece that, knowing how y'all operate, there's access to a community on a national level, no different than what Advanced Line is doing. So I want to turn it over to the audience. Any questions y'all have attached to, wow, immediate hands?
Love that.
So questions on mental health, corporate partnerships,
Whatever you got.
whatever you got. I'm going to start with Rob over here.
So first off, just a statement to add to the stigma or shunning. It's a lot more than that. It's a matter of trust.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to veterans, from what I've gathered, especially from the special operations community, they don't trust the therapy, so they're not. So I have two questions. The first one is, what are the metrics you use for success? So how do you know, like, this individual comes here now, he's healed or
So before you answer, just so y'all can hear, the first question is metrics for success to show the veterans improvement attached to it. So first question.
Sure. So we utilize the survey put out by the RAND Institute. For anyone that's not familiar with the RAND Institute, they're one of the leaders in clinical mental health treatment and trauma.
Okay. And then what's your follow-up process? So that finishes the treatment and then follow-up.
Which I'm going to repeat again. So, and I think this is a phenomenal question because there's so many organizations that fail at this piece. But Rob's second question was, what's the follow-up process? Say the veteran goes through the entire treatment process. What's the follow-on access after that?
Sure. So they always have immediate access to their private clinician that they worked with. And we even take it one step further, which is part of my prior life working with the USO and developing that community network. So if, yes, their mental health needs may be met, let's say they need housing or financial support, by establishing other partnerships with other military service organizations and veteran service organizations, we can provide that wraparound support. Because Headstrong does one thing, but we do it incredibly well, which is what I'm so passionate about. But, you know, I think I learned in my pastoral USO, you can't be all things to all people, right? So just because someone's mental health is taken care of, they're going to could need additional support elsewhere, and we ensure that they get that one handoff.
Yeah, because mostly what I've seen is individuals doing phenomenal while they're in treatment or in care in a controlled environment. As soon as they get out, they go back to the same stuff that they went in there for.
Yeah, I've had other conversations with corporate partners, as you do, and the questions come up, well, what about intensive inpatient therapy? Which is great, but then you take that individual who is really good when there's no life stressors, right? When they're at a hotel in, you know, Palm Beach, right? But everything's good when you're there, but then you get back and it's your spouse and your kids and it's work and it's like life. And that's where I feel like our clinicians are giving our patients the tools in the toolbox to be successful, to continue what they learned in therapy outside of therapy. And what's unique to us, I told Zach this earlier when we had lunch. So I mentioned we are trauma-focused therapy. Now that trauma can occur before, during, or after service. We pay for up to the first 30 sessions for a veteran or service member. That is per trauma. So say you had childhood trauma and our therapists treat that, and then you join the service and you have trauma from that, and then you get out, and especially we found from the special operators community, it's like that becomes your identity because that is all consuming. And then you're thrust into the civilian world and it's like, well, now who am I? Like that's a identity shift, is like trauma in itself. So that one veteran now could have close to 100 therapy sessions covered by Headstrong at no cost to them. I think that's something that makes us stand out.
I think that's huge. And what I like about Headstrong, and no different, if y'all remember, shoot, it's almost been a year now, we highlighted Tunnel of Towers because they're doing the project down in Bradenton. Part of what I like about Tunnel of Towers is they focus on homelessness and they support homelessness. Headstrong supports mental health and focuses on mental health. So where we partner with folks is that continuity of care. So to your answer, Rob, part of what they focus on is the mental health piece. We don't, because we don't want to be that do-it-all, jack-of-all-trades piece. What we partner with is they're going through the treatment, and as Tunnel of Towers is helping people with housing, we come in as, all right, now let's get you on your feet, the professional development side, right? And that's what I really love about what they're doing is like, this is our lane and we stay in it. And they're not trying, we're not speaking ill of Wounded Warrior. Wounded Warrior does all the things spectrum wide, but then outsource it where that continuity of care might not be there if you go straight to Wounded Warrior. That's where I think this type of highlight of like, this is Headstrong outside of Wounded Warrior is very vital because it's that direct access to the provider, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Jennifer, did you make a note? Did you like text yourself a question?
I totally understand that more than you know.
MST specific trauma care.
Yes. So MST, for anybody that may not know that acronym, it's military sexual trauma. So yes, our clinicians use the top 3 modalities to treat PTSD, which are going to be CPT, EDMR, and PE. And they use, most of our clinicians are trained in 2 different of the 3 modalities.
I've had my therapist and just a month ago, they said, you know what, sorry. So then you're like, things to cut off.
Yep.
Questions of that and how can maybe your organization help out with that? We all hate to retell our story to 15 different.
Absolutely. And something I didn't really touch on, it comes kind of more into play with active duty side of the house as folks are PCSing. Again, having lived this life, you get to new duty station, you establish rapport, you finally find your therapist, and then at that point, you come up on orders 2 years later, and now you're having to start over again with somebody and retell that story. Many of our clinicians are multi-state licensed through the SIPAC agreement, and that allows our clinicians to continue treating that individual regardless of their state that they reside in. So they can continue that care. Yes,
That's key, especially.
absolutely.
So the veterans that are counseling other veterans was a question.
Peter.
Peer-to-peer
Yes,
piece.
so we have many of our clinicians are veterans or military spouses, and that goes to that military cultural competency that we frankly put them through the interview process for. Yep, totally.
Love it. I'm gonna jump over. Go ahead.
Thank you, Kristen. Do you need a drink? That water is way too strong.
Oh, okay, I'm okay for now, yeah.
I'm thinking, you know, this Headstrong song, this is you. I love the name, right? Headstrong by Travis.
Yes.
Anyway, my question to you is, where do you see yourself, where do you see Headstrong in 10 years?
Okay, let's talk expansion. So frankly, that's also part of my job. We can only grow with money. And so our CEO, Dan Kaepernick, joined us 2 years ago. I joined last year and like year to date. And we're expanding. We're growing by 2 states every year. We just launched, and I say growing, our in-person clinical services. So folks can continue telehealth with us, but we are establishing a network of in-person clinicians. Last year, we launched in North Carolina and Ohio. This year, we're launching in South Carolina and Michigan, and we have expansion plans through 2028. But part of that is funding. It takes $1.5 million to enter a market, and that allows us a cushion of 18 months of service. Because what we don't want to do is enter a market knowing that, and we enter these markets strategically, right, based on active duty bases that are around and also veterans residing in the state. And we don't want to enter a market that there's obviously a need for our services and then have to pull back or pull out of the market due to funding. So we have a very aggressive expansion plan. We also have a very aggressive fundraising plan, and they really support one another.
Awesome. And one more.
Answered my question actually, but that made and that, so I'm glad to good to know you're virtual mostly, but becoming in person. And then I am not military. I want to be faithful.
Okay.
I put but I have lots of family who are military. How do I tell them about this? Do I just point them to the website? Is there an application process?
I mean, any way they want to get in touch. You have my business card on that flyer. You have our website. A funny story. Whatever you want to do, you can text me. I will ensure that they get connected. However they feel comfortable, which I think is unique to the era that they may be in. And I say that because our clinical care coordinator is a military spouse, and we had an individual sign up through our website, which is how you would connect to care with us. And she called them, she emailed them, and then she started texting them. And this guy was active duty, and he was obviously busy. And he was like, "Ma'am, I got your phone call. I got your email. I will get back to you. Like, I see your text. Just give me a minute." And so, listen, however you want to get in touch with us, like, we are here to serve those who have served.
But you know, I could see her point though, because you don't know what you don't know. Maybe this man might have been in trauma.
Well, I think the delicacy of what we do is when someone reaches out for care, and that's why I'm so proud of our 98% continued care success rate, is we understand that we have one shot to help them, right? There is such a strength and vulnerability in connecting to care. And side note, the individual has to be the one to sign up for our services. So like if a spouse signs their spouse up for the service, say if a wife signing up a husband, we're gonna ask that husband, like, are you interested in care? Like, did your wife sign you up? That's our only like pre-qualifier. It has to be the individual that wants the care, is seeking out the treatment. Because frankly, like if you're invested, like if you ask for it, we know that you need it. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm gonna cut the questions there because I got the look that Crystal said, get everybody a refill. And Linda said, get everybody a refill. On Crystal, absolutely. So I want to make sure y'all are able to talk with and connect. Obviously, she's coming back for Soft Week. Soft Week is a very overwhelming experience. So what I would ask y'all, connect with Kristen, make sure that when she comes back to Tampa, spending the week in Tampa, y'all are feeding her in. I told her she had to go to Ybor for at least one night. Nobody tell her otherwise. Let her just find out for herself. See, they're all about Ybor.
Okay.
But my ask for y'all is, not only are we here the third week of every month, I think this one's special because she'll be back down in a couple weeks. Y'all connect with her, make sure she's treated very well for the Tampa community. I know y'all care about this community and want to see it succeed. And she has so many amazing resources to help the Tampa community. So make sure y'all take some time, connect with her. Thank you for being out here, flying from Austin. And thank y'all for being here this evening.
Thank you.